Hey, everybody, welcome back to this episode of Think About Your Why with Maggie Cook and myself. We are looking forward to talking to Jordan Levin today, CrossFit guru, owner of CrossFit Bloomfield. He's a coach, he's an inspirational speaker, and he just has a great story that we're going to dive into when it comes to identifying your why. Jordan, welcome to the show. Maggie and I are excited to talk to you and dive into your story. You know, on Think About Your Why, we like talking to guests where we really rewind their story that gets to the roots, the bedrock seed of their DNA, that what made them who they are and ignited their why to not only to grow as individuals, but to inspire others. So can you share with us, maybe to get started, tell us a little bit about your journey and your journey to find your why.
Well, thank you very much for both of you for having me here today. I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and it's been a blessing in the last couple of months to get to where I'm at today. So, without further ado, I'm going to make this really simple and really easy. I was born 3 months premature, 11 inches and 31 ounces when I was born. I was given a 10% chance of survival when I was born. Fast forward about 4 months. So I was in the hospital for 4 months. And then I got out of the hospital and basically my parents did not know about my hearing loss until I was 2.5 years old. So I already missed all of their speech and language during those first couple of years. So my parents took it upon themselves to say, hey, how can we teach Jordan how to speak? And they pretty much took it upon themselves over the next, 15, 20 years to basically teach me how to speak. But not only that, they taught me how to live my life the way that I want to live my life. And what I've learned very quickly is I am my own person. And by me being able to do that, I'm able to bring that out and inspire others that they understand their own why and understand that hardships can be overcome. And it's not an easy thing to do. You have to take it one step at a time.
Love it.
That's an amazing story. Um, I guess, I wanted to ask, what would you think uh, was your biggest challenge, getting out into the world as a business person, with, knowing your background now? What would you think was the biggest challenge for you?
The biggest challenge for me is everybody always, not always, but generally you are told no. You're told no over and over again. And the one thing that I learned was never take no, never take no as good against you and figure how can you get past that no. So what I'm getting at in terms of when uh, I used to own a printing company back in the day. That printing company, I was 23 years old and I knew nothing about the printing industry. And I dove right in to learn everything I could about that industry. And don't get me wrong, every single day was a challenge because I couldn't necessarily hear what was being said. I had to rely on my visual and my repeating. So how I got over that was I basically call myself a modern superhero because I have 6 or 7 senses. My senses are heightened and more aware, and I have to be thinking ahead of where I want to go, and I have to figure out how am I going to get past the hurdle that I'm probably going to hit, and I have to be able to work around that. I'll give you a quick example. A quick example. I worked in marketing and advertising. I worked for a company at one point, and they said to me, "What do you need to be able to do your job efficiently?" I said, "I need a real-time captioned device or apparatus." While we had conference meetings, a big conference room, and people are talking. There's a lot of people talking in the room. I basically figured out how to get a computer with real-time captioning right in front of me so I could read what every single person was saying in that room. And not only that, I was able to get the transcription of it, and then I can go back and take a look at it and make sure that I was doing my job correctly. That's just one example of how I was able to overcome that.
Yeah. It's I love your story. I love hearing your story, Jordan. And I think so many times people don't pause enough to really tune into all of their senses. We look to kind of the five major senses that we have, but really, if you talk to specialists, we have hundreds of senses.
Mhm,
3, 4, 5 main senses.
mhm,
And it really is such a gift to be able to think ahead. And in business, you know, everybody's thinking ahead, or they should be thinking ahead and forecasting and projecting. And so when you've had to kind of train yourself to always be thinking ahead,
mhm.
how do you stay present while you've kind of built the muscle to always be thinking about the next? Or I remember growing up, my mom had a lung disease, and she was in a wheelchair and she was on oxygen, and
Mhm.
we all had to always be thinking ahead of her wheelchair and making sure that there was so much planning for it. And in business, right, you take that skill set that can be sometimes a burden, but you put it in business, it can really, really help you. That being said, when you've wired yourself that way, how do
Mhm.
you then get present while still thinking about tomorrow?
Well, it's a great question. That is not an easy thing for me to stay where I'm at, and I am known for a lot of ideas, and it's taken me a long time, and I'm talking about more so in the last couple of years to really kind of hone in on more specifically of how to manage my thoughts and trying to obviously being present in that moment and and basically the best way I can explain this while I'm thinking about it is I'm very quick to adapt.
Hmm.
Very quick to adapt. In adapting to situations is a very hard thing for many people to do. I'll give you a very quick example. When I was going into middle school, sixth grade, my mom was so worried about me going into the sixth grade, a brand new school, all these kids, all these things. I came back from the first day of sixth grade, and my mom said to me, "How was it?" "It was great. I had a wonderful time." So every single situation, I'm able to just, kind of push through and kind of run with it and adapt.
So I wanted to ask you something because being who you are and what you've been through, you've accomplished so much. I mean, you have a speaking business, you own a CrossFit location,
Yep,
you have a foundation for childhood obesity, and you have a book, and you have all kinds of stuff. You have there's a documentary, right?
yep, yep,
That's,
yep.
that's wonderful. I want to talk about one thing because, especially during these times, we tend to focus on the crisis, on the problem, rather than what is the opportunity that we have in front of us. And one of the biggest things that I've thrived on in my past is how to see the opportunity
Mhm,
in my challenges.
Mhm.
And I literally translate problem into challenge because a problem is a problem, but a challenge is something that I can, in my mind, change to say there's an opportunity there. And you know my story, growing up and being a Latina woman entrepreneur, didn't know any English coming here and being a member of the LGBTQ community, it wasn't easy for me. And a lot of people told me that I would fail. And uh, being a minority, and it was actually the greatest opportunity for me because I got contacted by Walmart to sell my products at Walmart. I got so many opportunities because of it. And I think that our journey is really a blessing, no matter how hard it is, because it makes us stronger as people. And we become sort of like a light that can tell other people, hey, we had it 3 times, 4 times, it's rough, but we made it. Look
Mhm.
how you have it. You can make it too. All you have to do is what's the opportunity, how you can pivot. There's really no real crisis unless you make that crisis a permanent staple in your mind. So how do you see that? What kind of what have you seen throughout the years, and that has made you realize to push the envelope to kind of look at the opportunities and the challenges that you've had?
It's the interesting thing is there's always going to be the parallel for each individual person. Is each person has to find what that is, and not everybody finds it, and you have to be able to obviously be present where you're at. You have to recognize what's actually going on, and if you want to make that, change, to go forward, you've got to take that step back and see what's actually going on, and move ahead.
I have a question for you. I want to rewind for a minute, and I want to talk about your parents.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about how your parents, were so committed to teaching you how to speak. And I so, as a parent and just as a human being, I love that piece of your story because it just oozes out of love and support. And I don't think all parents are like that. I mean, and so I just want to kind of talk about, you know, their commitment for a minute and how special that is, and how the commitment to them and their determination and their love and their commitment to going above and beyond. And so dive a little bit into kind of, their journey from your eyes.
So, do you want me to expand on some of the stuff that my parents did? Is that what
Yeah,
you?
like I know how committed. I mean, and you've shared with me, at hockey games, your dad is, you're during periods you're getting tested. I mean, just the level of commitment is, I think, so impressive.
Yeah, I've talked about it before, and I pretty much owe everything to my parents because you have you have my father who's very he never takes no for it. It always wants to know, always wants the best for his kids and for himself and his whole family. But what I'm getting at is when we found out about my hearing loss, he was talking to all these different doctors, and all these different doctors were saying, he's probably going to end up in special education. He's probably going to learn sign language and all of that. And my parents were like, wait a minute, listen, hey doctor, if I was Henry Ford and I had all the money in the world, where would you, what would you do with your kid to get him to be somewhat normal, if you will? But this you can't define normal because each person is their own person in the kid to find them up. So what I'm getting at is it was such a struggle. And they put it this way. I'll give you an example. When I was in elementary school, this is something I didn't even know about until I read the first draft of my dad's book. And there was so many different things in that book that I didn't even know. And I was reading it, and I'm like, hey, Dad, wait a minute, you did this. Hey, Mom, why did you do this? I didn't know these things. And the point was, they wanted me to be out with my friends, out playing hockey, playing sports, being one of the guys, and and being out there. They did the worrying for me all those years. So in elementary school, what I found out is at the end of each class, I'm sorry, at the end of each day, my mom would go to the teacher at the end of the day, hey teacher, what did you guys do today? She would write everything down, notes, page by page. And then when we got home from school, we sat down and we went over everything again. After I had already done it in school, we did it again, and again, and again, day in, day out. I'm talking about elementary school, in middle school, and by the time I got to high school, I was I'm pretty self-sufficient at that point. But, between me learning in speech, and I'm going to throw one more thing into that, learning to listen. I had to be taught how to listen. I can obviously hear you guys, but I'm only going to get maybe 30 or 40% of what is actually being heard. But I had learning to listen. For example, if a fire truck was driving by on the street or a police car was driving by, I did not know what the siren sounded like. My mom would say, Jordan, listen, do you hear that siren? Okay, that's a siren. So it became a double full-time job for both my parents who were working parents, and that's the dedication, and the dedication from that I took from them, and it manifested into myself being able to do the things that people told me that I could not do, which obviously I'm doing now.
Jordan, why do you think you're alive today? Why do you think you're having this experience?
It's a great question.
Wow, wow. Nobody, nobody's ever asked that direct of a question. Uh, wow. Um, the first, the only thing I can think of is when I was born, I was meant to live, and there was no taking no for an instant. My internal instinct said, you need to live. You're here. Your purpose is to make yourself better and make everybody else better around you. So if you want to call that finding the light, okay, maybe that's the case. But there must have been something inside of me that said, hey, go for it. And hey, it wasn't easy.
You're certainly an inspiration, and you do have that spirit of relentlessness that your book talks about. And it just shows people that you had so many obstacles, and others may have very few and they still give up. And here you are, this light that was born in this time and is living a life and is inspiring millions of people and also making a difference in kids' lives. And there's so much more to your why than you know. You're so much more powerful than you think you are. And I can see that. And the world just needs to hear more of you.
But that's that's my focus. That's my focus. Granted, I thought owning my gym, CrossFit Bloomfield. I'm in the middle of my 12th year owning the gym, and I've worked with so many different people through the years, and you touched upon that. working with the clients and letting them know that, hey, they can do it too. If I'm able to do it, they can do it as well.
Yeah, I agree with you, Maggie. Jordan's story is so inspiring for so many. You know, I want to talk a little bit about your business, Jordan. You own a CrossFit studio, and CrossFit is all about discipline and resilience and getting back up. Oh, by the way, Maggie is a major. Aren't you? You do. I forgot about this a couple weeks ago. Maggie and I interviewed the strongest man in the world, right? And he was great. And so, what have you been able to infuse to your members, and what does CrossFit continually teach you?
What's the question again? Sorry.
What does CrossFit continually teach you, and what do you infuse into your members?
What did CrossFit teach me?
Yeah.
Okay. So the biggest thing that I just talked about, went for a walk just before this with my wife before this, and we were just talking about the whole CrossFit thing. And the biggest thing that I've learned from CrossFit is that you can take anybody, regardless of age, size, whatever it is, and then you can obviously help them get better. But the biggest thing that I've taken away from that is the education of all the different, what I call fitness modalities. You have, boxing, the kickboxing, whatever, and they're all great. And I always tell people, I don't care what you do as long as you're moving your body. But the main thing that I learned from CrossFit is core to extremity. And you obviously have to have a strong core, a strong glutes inside of you first before you begin to do things with your arms and the legs. So you could take that same analogy and you could take that and use it for anything. It could be a personal, it could be business, it could be anything. So it translates into the what I call the functional movements. Because most people will bend down, will pick something up, and will pull their back out. But what we're doing in CrossFit, we're taking the movements and we're taking it step by step and teaching you how to do it step by step before you actually do the movement. So it's a process. You have to go from A and B first before you get to C. So it's a process. So what I've learned basically is is the methodology of CrossFit is phenomenal. And a lot of people who are in that CrossFit world swear by it because it works. And if you follow that, you will see the results. But you might not see the results because if you're not eating properly, you're not sleeping properly, you're under a lot of stress, you're not drinking enough water, there's so many different things. But when everything comes together, that's when you get the results.
I love it.
Did I see? Did you, Maggie? You do CrossFit?
I used to. I changed to just bodybuilding, lifting.
Oh yeah. It's
Yes,
good.
I was getting. I when I do something, I do it 110 and 50%, and so I was injuring myself a lot. And I'm 41, so I decided I'm gonna take it easy and just do the strength training and some cardio. So
That's that's great. And the interesting thing about that, I can relate to that because my first 5 or 6 years of CrossFit has this big connotation of go crazy, But you know what? You don't need to. For the last 3, 4 years, my personal coaching methodology has always been, guys, listen, it's not that we're getting older, we're not getting any younger. We need to learn how to treat our bodies accordingly. So the way we do our programming at the gym and all my clients can tell you this. We do a really good job of monitoring all the clients and educating them on why they are moving the way they're moving and to make sure they're not going too heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you need to be my CrossFit coach.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. Yeah. Well, Jordan, I everything you talk about is so inspiring. You, I know, with COVID, there's been less, inspirational speeches and keynotes and things of that nature. But I have no doubt that you will continue to inspire the world with your positivity and your passion and all of the great messages that you send to just never, ever, ever give up. And I applaud your mom and dad for, you may have had that in the DNA of your soul, but they sure, drove it home in everything that they did through example. And so I applaud them, and as well as you. You ready for a quick speed round, Jordan?
Yeah, my screen froze over here.
Oh, there we go. You ready for a quick speed round?
Yeah.
All right. Favorite book and why?
Okay. Favorite book and why? Right now I'm in the middle of The Alchemist, and
My favorite book ever.
Mine too.
you go. All right. Okay. Hey. Well, hey, we're here for a reason. We're talking for a reason. So hey, there you go. And the messages that I've been reading out of that book is it hits you in, and I've learned something in the last couple of months. I've learned something that where you are in that present moment, you don't really realize it until you're actually in it, and everything else just kind of opens up.
Yeah.
What I'm getting so far.
Amen. Amen.
Absolutely.
Maggie, you got a question for Jordan?
I just think that you're such an amazing light, and I would just like to ask you, what is one thing that can come to your mind that you can tell all the people out there that are struggling, that are going through something in their lives? What is something that you can tell them to either in business create change or inspire them to become fit, eat better? What is one thing that you'd like to share?
My biggest thing is my thing I would say is learn to have gratitude, learn to love yourself, and be confident in what you do. And once you have that figured out, you'll be able to kind of play around with the passion. Once you find that passion, obviously the three of us are talking because we have a passion for what we all do. So once you have that, as difficult as things may be, you have to take that step back, get yourself in the moment, because and love yourself. And once you have that figured out, you'll be able to kind of find that next step.
Love it.
I love it. What a beautiful way to, I think, end this talk. Jordan, tell everybody, I know you're at CrossFitBloomfield.com as well as JordanLevin.com, but tell people who your ideal clients are for CrossFit and for speaking. I know you go in and are talking to companies and zooming into companies and doing inspirational talks for companies and nonprofits, and they're all benefiting from your strength and your light. So tell people who your ideal clients are in both pieces of your life and how they can connect with you. I don't know. So do you want to give any example of how people can call you, connect with you, reach out to you?
Best way to get a hold of me is, like you said, both my websites. Send me a text, send me an email. I'm always available. If I don't respond within a couple hours, I will get back to you. I'm pretty good about responding in a reasonable manner, and I look forward to all of our next adventure.
All right. Well, Jordan, I can't thank you enough. Thank you for being on the show. Appreciate you sharing everything about your life. It's going to inspire many people. And Maggie, once again, I'll let you close out.
Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. Thank you, John. It's always a pleasure to work with, be working and speaking with John, to bring in amazing people. And it's one of my passions to share and to inspire. And here we are, all three of us doing this one thing that we're all in tune with.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to thank all of you, and especially you, Jordan. You're such an inspiration, such a brave story of perseverance, relentlessness. So I just wanted to say thank you so much for being here with us.
I agree. I concur.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you again for both of you.
All right. Stay on, guys, for a minute. Thanks, everybody, for listening. If Jordan can teach you a little bit about CrossFit or talk to your team, your company, your business, your organization, your nonprofit, give him a buzz. JordanLevin.com. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, guys.
Thank